Hello and welcome back. If you remember before, we were talking about functions. We're going to go ahead and move on to arrays and loops. These typically go hand in hand, but not always just exclusively. So we'll start off with an array. An array is best described as a box of, a box that holds stuff. It could also be described as one of my favorite analogies, since we're talking about food and making sandwiches, a grocery list, right? So let's just go ahead and dive right into it. Let's create a new variable plus key here. We'll type grocery list. And then over here on the right hand side, let's go ahead and click string. And then here's the most important part here. We have here, let's go ahead and hit compile and save really quick. On the right hand side, we have our single variable and our array. So if you could kind of just imagine that we have one item on our grocery list or one item called a grocery list, or we can have an array of items that make up the grocery list. So we're going to go ahead and click on array, hit compile and save. And now if you notice on the default value, we have something brand new. Let's go ahead and click add. And this is going to be our first item on the grocery list. So when we're making our sandwiches, we can go ahead and do bread. Let's go ahead and do ham. We can do cheese. And then let's add our peanut butter. And let's add our jelly. Let's go ahead and compile and save again. And let's do our traditional variable layout here of a get and a set. So let's go ahead and hold Alt. Oops. Hold Alt. Hold Control. We have our get and set. Perfect. Now there's quite a few things that we could do with a grocery list, and let's find our debug key. I did kind of move ahead a little bit here. Where did our key go? Key bound, key bind, keyboard. There we go. Keyboard events, and we're going to do E. Perfect. So what we're going to do here is just kind of print out some fun stuff. So let's take our grocery list and let's see how many items in our grocery list do we have. So let's go ahead and grab the length of that. And then what we could do is print what we have inside our grocery list. That's going to look really messy because we're moving with it really soon. Hit E, look at that, 5. Perfect. So now what we want to do is figure out, well, we have the length of it, but what are the items in the grocery list? And that's where a loop comes into play. So let's go ahead and remove these, remove this print string. And we're going to move over here to loops. I'm going to click and drag out here. Actually, let's do it off of this node. We're going to do loop. And we're going to grab a for each loop. So what this is doing is it's going through every single list or item in our array, and it's going to go ahead, or I should say index. Let's do the proper term. It's going through every single index, which starts at 0, goes through 4. Indexes always start at 0. So we have 5 items starting at 0 through 4. It's going to go through, and whatever we put in our loop body, it's going to do for each one of those items. So in this case, let's go ahead and do a print string, and we're going to go ahead and print every single one of those items. And then when the loop is complete, let's do another print string, and we could say end of list. Perfect. So let's go ahead and check that out. Awesome. So we have our bread, ham, cheese, peanut butter, jelly, and our end of list. That's exactly what I was looking for. And what we could do here is go ahead and break this, break that. Actually, let's keep this one in here. We'll just copy and paste and use this for this side. Let's go ahead and add these under loops. And then let's put our E over here. And let's kind of break down what else we could do with an array. So if we click and drag off of this pin and we click on utilities and array, we could actually see quite a few options. But some of the more popular ones are adding. Another one is removing an item. Another one is getting a reference. And the other one, which we already looked at, is length. Now, obviously, as you saw, there are other options that we could do with an array, and that's totally fine. But this, for the most part, just explains the majority of what we will be doing. Some examples, again, of array is a grocery list, but a more practical sense. We could take a look at things like inventory items is a good one. Inventory item names. It could be an array of the enemies in the level. It could be an array of certain items that we do have in our inventory, coins to collect, keys for doors, fun stuff like that. And what a loop is our number one tool here to kind of parse through our array. So if we need to find how many items of our grocery list do we have, we can use a loop. If we need to see how many coins left do we have in our level, how many coins are needed in order to, gain an extra life, how many enemies are left, and things such like that. So we'll be using these in the future. I just wanted to bring them up and mention them now so you have a better understanding when we do bring these up, because they will be used and it's a little bit more complex than just simple variables and simple functions. So just be prepared for it. This is what it looks like. This is what we're doing. And I just want to mention one last thing. This could be an array of a bunch of different items. So it doesn't have to be a string. It could be an array of Booleans. It could be, whatever calls, whatever we need for what we're building, right? So after this, we're going to move on to classes, class inheritance, and then building out our game.